Good evening and welcome to WBS Weekend Prime News Live. Hope your Saturday was a beautiful one. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Kampala Central Chairman Godfrey Nyakana announces he will not contest for the seat again. Muslim row deepens as Supreme Mufti Kayongo stopped from opening Masaka Health Center. United Nations adopts global program to fight deaths in disasters.
Whatever you have obtained here, it is not for you. You have to be a multiplier agent.
New curriculum in offering for the local coaches. Well, good evening once again, and remember you can be able to watch this bulletin from wherever you are on a live stream. Just go to our website at www.wbs.ug and click on the live stream button. You will be able to watch us from wherever. I am Mildred Tohaise, and now the news in detail. Former Forum for Democratic Change President, retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, tasks voters to be on the forefront in demanding for electoral reforms and not to leave the responsibility to the opposition alone. Besigye made the remarks during the FDC Wakiso District Delegates Conference, in which the electoral reforms were high on the agenda.
The debate on electoral reforms rages on, and Besigye feels the public needs to take the greater responsibility on these demands using their mandate and authority. Besigye says it's high time voters realize the power they possess to agitate for whatever it takes to cause for changes that they desire.
abukozese bwabwe naye njagala mutegeeze muli bantu mwenna abategeera ddala obuyinza bwolina
forms okubeera nga zikolebwako bwe ziba tezikoleddwako then tujja kulindirira bakamanda baffe abawaggulu okutugamba ekikulu sijja kugamba nti kakati tujja kukola bwe tuti.
Dr. Besigye, flanked by MPs Medad Rebecca Segonna, Ibrahim Semunjunganda, retired Bishop Zach Niringie, and Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, says on the outlook there is no sign that the government is willing to address the issues raised.
Tulagawa n'ebishinga ebityo ebikolwa ebityo wano mu Buganda nabuza Abaganda nti kati mwe mutunda ki e Kampala ab'e Masaka ne bagamba kitutunda nseenene abalala beeno ne bagamba tutunda ttaka wano mu Buganda tulagawa beegayirire leetasifikasi Buganda. Lwaki bamubuuziza lwaki tulemeddwa myaka kati 3 okujja ku dictator?
Oh, do apologize for that interruption in the signal right there. But we move on, and security organs in Masaka district have stopped Chibuli section Supreme Mufti Sheikh Zubair Sowed Kayongo from officially opening a health center constructed by Muzamat Dawa al-Islamiyya at Kadugala Mosque in Mukungwe sub-county. The decision followed complaints by the Masaka-based Old Kampala faction led by Sheikh Bruhan Bagunduse that the health center which Kayongo was set to officially open was the property of the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, which is headed by Mufti Sheikh Shaban Ramadhan Mobaje.
Sheikh Kayongo accessed the health center and performed the Juma prayers at the premises without any interference. He even had lunch from the health center's staff quarters after the Juma. Sheikh Kayongo commended the Masaka security and leadership team for handling the Muslim matters in a mature manner. Chibuli Faction Secretary General Sheikh Muhammad Sambira challenged the old Kampala faction on the ownership of Uganda Muslim Supreme Council property, saying the Muslims who believed in Chibuli leadership were also part of the Muslims in Uganda who have a right over all the Muslim property. Chisambira warned Sheikh Mubaje against mentioning anything concerning accountability within the Muslim circles, saying that the latter did not have any moral authority to talk about accountability. He also warned the Muslim leaders against commenting about the Quran schools, which security organs are closing down these days, saying that those who defend such schools may land into trouble. The health center, which is in contention together with the mosque and school, lies on an 80-acre piece of land. Bukoto East MP Flores Namayanja, who also attended the Juma prayers together with the Muslims, handed over 1.3 million shillings to Masaka Muslim leaders as a contribution towards the construction of a modern toilet facility at the premises.
The Kampala Central Divisional Mayor Godfrey Nyakana says he is retiring from active politics and will not contest for the seat again next year. The mayor mentioned this in a get-together that he had organized at Nachivubo Playground, where all NRM councillors on the central region had been summoned to discuss the party's position as 2016 elections draw closer. He says he can only take up the topmost position in State House or in any other administrative office in the party structure.
Nyakana's announcement comes at a time when the ruling NRM party is streamlining benchmarks on how best to beat the opposition, specifically in the central region. He says it is high time he paves the way for the young generation which intends to join politics in the central region and the entire country. According to him, a competent politician should be in position to groom the young ones for the good of the country.
I think I've come to the climax of my career, my political career. I've served for 15 years, and I think it's some good time I've served, and I think it's time to get on also do my other personal activities without still serve at the country in different capacities.
He says for the 15 years he has served as a divisional mayor in the central part of Kampala, he believes he has achieved a lot, and so the experience he has attained should be tried out in other topmost administrative positions of the party. Present at the meeting was the Kampala Resident City Commissioner, Aisha Kabanda. Kabanda confirmed sole candidature come 2016, proposing that all NRM members should not be misled by party enemies who have intentions of distorting the party position.
And well, back to our earlier story, former Forum for Democratic Change, retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, tasks the voters to be on the forefront in demanding for electoral reforms and not only leave the responsibility to the opposition. Besige made the remarks during the FDC Wakiso District Delegates Conference, in which the electoral reforms was high on the agenda.
The debate on electoral reforms rages on, and Besige feels the public needs to take the greater responsibility on these demands using their mandate and authority. Besige says it's high time voters realize the power they possess to agitate for whatever it takes to cause for changes that they desire.
Reforms okubeera nga zikolebwako, bwe ziba tezikoleddwako then tujja kulindirira bakamanda baffe abawaggulu okutugamba ekikulu. Sijja kugamba nti kakati tujja kukola bwe tuti.
Dr. Besige, flanked by MPs Medad Rebecca Segonna, Ibrahim Semunjunganda, retired Bishop Zach Niringie, and Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, says on the outlook there is no sign that the government is willing to address the issues raised.
Tulagawa n'ebishingi b'ebityo ekulu bw'ebityo wano mu Buganda namuza Buganda nti kati mwe mutunda ki e Kampala ab'e Masaka ne bagamba kitutunda nseenene, abalala beeyo ne bagamba tutunda ttaka. Wano mu Buganda tulagawa beegayirire leetasifokas mu Buganda. Lwaki bamubuuziza lwaki tulemerwa myaka kati 3 okujja ku dictator?
Colleagues in the NRM, particularly the ministers, who are under instructions from the president. One, not to give any certificate of financial implications to a private member. So our take is that we are strategic enough. We tested it with the presidential transition bill presented by the Honorable Dr. Lul Mebaiga. So when we tested it, it confirmed our intelligence. And the next step, of course, is to wait for them to present theirs. We present our views in the committees, and if we fail from the committees, we present a minority report.
A set of recommendations related to electoral administration and participation of all citizens were recently submitted to Cabinet, but government is being accused of being too slow in tabling them.
Now, residents of Kome Island in Mukono district have vowed not to vote the current leaders again into power come 2016 general elections because of failing to deliver good services to the island. During a meeting held at Nsazi Fishing Camp found in Kome Sub-County, Mukono district, the residents said that for the past years, various politicians have been asked to vote for them so that they may get better services, which they have never seen. Oh, well, we do apologize for the mix-up in the pictures right there, but we'll be returning to the story later on in the bulletin. But away from that, the United Nations has declared its determination to enhance efforts to strengthen disaster risk reduction in order to reduce disaster losses of lives and property worldwide. This was during the United Nations World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction held in Sedai City of Japan, where member states recognize the increasing impact of disasters and their complexity in many parts of the world. It is at this meeting that Uganda assured the world of its capacity to manage national disasters and reduce its impact on human life and property. Addressing the United Nations World Conference, Uganda's Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Hilary Onek, said that over the years, Uganda has built capacity to handle these disasters. Onek assured the United Nations of Uganda's commitment to supporting and implementing policies and programs at national, regional and global levels aimed at strengthening resilience to natural disasters. The conference, attended by heads of state and addressed by the United Nations Secretary General, adopted a 15-year global program of action aimed at reducing deaths and losses caused by natural disasters. We'll now take a very short break. We'll return with much more stories still lined up for you, but first, let's have a reminder of our top stories. Kampala Central Chairman Godfrey Nyakana announces he will not contest for the seat again. Muslim row deepens. Supreme Mufti Kayongo stopped from opening Masaka Health Center. And UN adopts global program to fight deaths and disasters.
Load the airtime knowing it's easy. You get it all back with Chizzy. All the airtime you spend, Chizzy. At the end of the month, Chicho, Chizzy.
1K, 2K, 5K,
Chizzy.
10K, 20K, 30K. Airtime you spend is refunded. Talk and talk with Chizzy.
Chicho, Chicho, Chicho.
Uganda Telecom's got something.
Get back your airtime with Chizzy from Uganda Telecom. Dial *100# select Chizzy and get the total amount you spend in a month refunded. This refund can be used for calls and SMSs to all networks for the next 30 days from Uganda's most affordable telecom service. Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Hey, let's do it.
To the island. This was during a meeting held at Nsazi fishing camp found in Kome Sub-County, Mukono districts, where residents said that for the past years, various politicians have been asking to be voted for so that they may get better services, which they have never seen.
Kome Island, found in Mukono district, takes you about 3 hours from the mainland while traveling on water. Residents here are threatening not to participate in the coming general elections. While at Insanzi fishing camp, residents say that in the past elections, various groups of politicians have been storming the island asking for votes from them, but after they are elected, none of them returns the island to solve their problems. Residents this time say that for anyone seeking votes from them in 2016, must first solve some of their problems before elections.
Obw'okutulimbanga nti mugenda kwesa amazzi ga ttaapu gettalaba bannaffe ab'ekibi bo bagalina mpulya bulizi bo bagalina naye ffe wano omwami yatugamba nti mugenda kwesa amazzi ga ttaapu mirezi okubola yakyogera siddangamu mulaba wano bakimanyi naye ng'omusajja oli we yagambye nti mbutuufu abannaffe abamu bajja najja n'atulimba kubanga alina kyakola ki kyayagala naye nga kyayagala ekyo kyaba ayagala ya olumalo kifuna n'amanya nze nkifunye ebyeyo mbikoze eki naye alidda ku mulundi guli.
However, the mayor of Mukono, Johnson Muyanja Senyonga, asked residents to blame themselves because they elect leaders after buying for them simple gifts, and they fail to consider someone's ability of delivering better services to them.
Tulina abaana abasomye nga bali sitaaka wano nga baagala kwongerako. Waliyo abaagala kugenda matendekero ag'ebyemikono ng'ate gyegali naye ng'eno alabanga olusozi. Waliwo omuzadde ng'alina kaana ayagala kuyambibwa akaana omwana agende ekyambogo. Simanyi mufuna. Ebyo tojja bifuna mu kaseera kali kaba kakulekaana buki. Awo amaani abeewo tajja genda ogenda okukakkananga.
He asked them to use the little resources that they have to improve their lives on the island.
The implementation of the national gender policy still faces stiff challenges to meet the required standard in transforming the gender relations into action. Women organizations say the national gender policy itself is a good document with several clauses providing empowerment for women but lacks the practice.
Josephine Ahikiri, as Associate Professor at the School of Women and Gender Studies of Makerere University, said the gender policy is good, but has technicalities in implementation.
It hasn't been very easy to translate the spirit of gender equality into actionable activities. So you'll find that there are good sentences and phrases in a policy document. For example, on women and land, on women and violence, on women and health. But when it comes to actual activities, you find that it fizzles out.
She is disappointed that implementation of the policy is also affected by bureaucracy resistance as well as poor resourcing.
You're looking at changing the norms. You're looking at changing, attacking male privilege. It's not easy sometimes. And sometimes even women find it a problem to change to another kind of way of doing things.
Ahikira says policy adoption and implementation is now required to create a goodwill and a gender setting to address the befalling challenges. The School of Women and Gender Studies is offering a scholarship course on gender and local economic development.
And that's why there is this new shift, and that's why you will even see in the National Development Plan there is a more voice for income generation, for economic empowerment, for wealth creation, because government can no longer afford to, can no longer afford to be a state provider. You need to catalyze local resources out there so that they are usable. Where that happens, of course, such districts have the district investment committees, they have the commercial officers.
Focal person of the local economic development program in the midst of gender, Assumption Kwikriza Tepamwenda, says districts need to carry out situation analysis. The program is intended to help participants learn and apply gender-focused content and practice for local economic development, focusing on the pillars of local economic governance, locality development, and enterprise development. Stephen Mwiri, WBS News.
Uganda marks the World Forest Day amidst challenges of continued destruction of the natural Central Forest Reserve's cover by selfish timber loggers and encroachers claiming lack of land for crop production. This as the National Forestry Authority is rendered powerless in controlling and opening up the boundaries. The national celebrations were held in Rukunjiri district under the theme Climate Change and Forests, but partners in environment protection say the celebrations would be much more meaningful if marked where problems are biting.
Uganda joins the rest of the world to mark the International Forest Day under the theme Climate Change and the Forest. But as the national celebrations are being held in Rukunjiri district, environmental partners have expressed mixed feelings about the day given the great loss of the Central Forest cover up to 92,000 hectares annually.
It should be a day to remind each one of us that climate change is real, it's happening to all of us, and it's a responsibility for each and every one of us. Particularly this day is to remind, it should act as a reminder to everyone. Climate change is real, and what are you and I doing to address the problem of climate change? And we can all do by you planting a tree and myself planting a tree.
We can live harmoniously, or we can coexist peacefully with the environment. We need to hold responsible those who are mismanaging these natural resources without fear or favor.
Kagombe Central Forest Reserve sits on 11,331 hectares of land, has been completely depleted by encroachers claiming for land for crop production and settlement. Some encroachers say they do not have enough land at home for cultivation. Our LC5 chairman told us to leave homes, saying there is free land for you to cultivate, and indeed, I found free land. Land became small at home, and I decided to come and do some cultivation to sustain my family. But lack of boundaries seems to be a major cause for encroachment, and the injunction by the courts of law stopping the NFA to carry out evictions. But lack of boundaries seems to be a major cause for encroachment, and the injunction by the courts of law stopping the NFA to carry out evictions has in a way provided a great opportunity for the encroachers to clear more of the Central Forest Reserves. But NFA is worried of the continued loss. I was present when the judge ordered NFA to open boundaries and use the results to make a report. He also said that every person should stay where they are and should not clear more of the forest before the case is over.
But from February up to today, the destruction is 50, which means within 1 year, the destruction is around 40%. So if nothing is done, by 2016, Kagombe will be finished.
Jamada Magezi, a councillor in Ruzaire Chibare district, suggests that the government provides income-generating activities to keep busy the communities encroaching on the Ruzaire Central Forest Reserve.
Told us that the reason as to why they came in reserves, people were landless. Actually, people had started other habits like safety, so they had to say that they have nothing to do. They had to encroach those forests for their betterment and how to see if they can have something to eat.
Unfortunately, some encroachers think they do not need to listen to NFA anymore, given the injunction by courts of law, which allows them to use the Central Forest Reserves. We sold all our property. We have children, and they have nowhere to go. And now we are in the forest. we request you to tell us the truth. At this moment, we are busy in the forest planting. Shall we stop there and leave? Or what plan do you have?
twasigaramu era tugenda tukwenda mutuhereze bwino yonyine ekituufu.
You will leave this reserve and you cannot convince somebody that you don't have where to go. Where did you come from?
But as Uganda marks the Forest Day, the challenge remains for the NFA to quickly be facilitated to open up the boundaries. Ugandans should also be encouraged to venture into tree planting as their own private business and avoid destroying natural forests. Stephen Mwiri, WBS News.
Now to issues of economy, tax evasion has become a practiced art with so many companies and individuals as well eluding the tax collector. Now some Ugandans will refuse to pay taxes because they do not see the value for their money, while others are scared by the corruption, so they figure out if their money will be embezzled, why pay the tax? Anita Mwanguzi spoke to Joseph Maweje, a researcher with Economic Policy Research Center, who says that even the long process involved in paying taxes itself fails the tax system.
Today we focus on tax evasion and tax avoidance. And Uganda represents an intriguing case of tax avoidance. A wide range of experts agree that the nature of Uganda's tax system conforms to global benchmarks. Income and corporate tax rates in Uganda are mostly 30% per annum at the highest bracket. The large gap between actual tax paid on overall earnings and expected tax to be paid on income-generating activities is extremely worrying, and this also highlights the extent of tax evasion and tax avoidance prevalence. And now we are joined in studio by Maweje Joseph, who is a research analyst with the Economic Policy Research Center, to discuss tax evasion and tax avoidance. You're welcome.
Thank you, Anita.
Originally, I came here to discuss tax avoidance, or rather tax evasion. And then you tell me there is tax avoidance and tax evasion,
yes.
and the two are different.
The two are
Could
different.
you explain that?
Yes, tax evasion is when an entity, which could be an individual or a business that's engaged in illegal business that earns an income, which could be personal income or company profit, uses illegal means to evade the tax, to pay amounts that are less than what's due, and they are using illegal means, underlying illegal. Tax avoidance is when the same uses legal means, exploiting loops in the tax code not to pay enough tax.
How can it be legal for someone to actually avoid tax?
For example, you could have a business operating in Uganda, which is a subsidiary of a larger business, and then they do what is called transfer pricing. What basically that means is that you sell at a very marginal, at a very low cost, your products to your subsidiary abroad, and then what appears in the books of accounts is actually that you made so little profit, when actually you are transferring all the profit that you would have paid tax on domestically to an international entity that will not pay tax.
You've done a paper on tax evasion. What
Yes, I
were
have.
your findings?
We saw that we have a very big informal sector, and then we saw that we have a business environment that so many businesses in Uganda complain about. So we tried to link the two. That could people be paying tax, paying less tax or avoiding tax because the environment in which they operate is not conducive. I'll give you an example. When you have a business that is an export business located somewhere in Hoima or Bulisa, and they have to transport these goods to Entebbe or to the sea, and they have to incur very high costs because the transport system is pretty much broken down. They incur a lot of costs, and possibly they will not be willing to pay tax because the provision of a road, which is the duty of the state, has not been done to the needs of the business. And just one angle of that, you could have electricity, you could have the legal system, so many things come into this, and but the business environment is just one part of it.
It's like you're saying people avoid tax because they do not see the value of the tax paid.
Absolutely. But that's just one part of it. Tax, from tax memorial, no one wants to pay it. You see that? So you have about 3 categories of people. You have people or businesses that will do whatever it takes, even if the environment was perfect, not to pay tax, because they would wish to have, you know, a bigger account for themselves. And then you have people who don't pay tax because the enforcement mechanism is low, is poor. They know that they will get away with it, and there's no, you know, they know that they can do away with it, so they don't pay the tax. But you have another class of people who don't pay tax because they don't see value for money.
Some people have argued that we do have unfriendly tax regimes in this country. So people are discouraged because you have to pay so much, and yet what you're earning may not be enough at the end of the day.
If you talk about the cumbersome procedures that people have to go through, for example, to register for tax, and then you have this small business and you have to choose between operating your business or chasing after a tax certificate, that's different. But when you talk about the kind of, you know, taxes that we pay, I don't think that's a big problem.
If we have to look at this challenge of tax avoidance and tax evasion, which sectors are most involved in this?
The biggest chunk of the economy is contributed by the service sector, so naturally you will see more tax evasion there, but also because there's a lot of informality there. By informality I mean businesses that have not registered and therefore are outside of the tax bracket, all have registered but they engage in some kind of illegal activity. For example, they can they can underestimate in the books of accounts their value of sales, or they can overestimate the value of the cost, so that at the end of the day they appear as if they are not making enough profit that is taxable. So you have also informality, if you want, among the former ones.
How deep does this problem run? Because we've ascertained we do have a challenge: tax avoidance, tax evasion.
Research has shown that in Uganda, up to about 40% of the economy is accounted for in the informal sector. Our own research at the Economic Policy Research Center showed that going by the data provided by the World Bank, 73% of the businesses in Uganda evade taxes, but of course at varying degrees. Some of them 1%, others 5%, others 50%, others 90%. So you can see that already there is a very big problem, and this country loses a lot of money to tax evasion.
Can we estimate about how much do we lose?
It is very difficult because by definition, it's an illegal activity. So no one comes up and says, oh look, last month I evaded 1 billion, the other month 5 million. No, but there are methods that can be used to try and estimate. It's not perfect, but there are things you can look at and say, hey, I think this is where we are losing a lot of money. And we are talking about 1.5 trillion shillings a year, which is about more than the budget for health.
How do we move forward? Because this is something that is eating into the fabric of our society and derailing service delivery.
A big number of people evade tax because they will simply evade it. You see what I mean? They'll do everything possible. They know about the value of tax and everything, but they evade it. So this brings me to the point of enforcement and supporting the legal and regulatory environment so that these people can be brought to account so that they don't get away with it. But then you have another category of people who are simply not aware that they're supposed to pay tax. And these are the categories of people who need tax education. And then you have another category of people who evade tax because they don't see value for money, like we said, because the environment in which they operate, they don't see the roads, the electricity, they don't see it. When they go to hospital, there's no medicine. So what government has to do is, for this category of people, you have to do whatever it takes as much as possible using the limited resources that you have to ensure that every investment in this country gives you value for money. The legal environment that I talked about, because they know that they can do away with it. But then, because, as they do business, along the way, they are asked for bribes and this and that and that and that. And to them, the bribe that they are paying to grease the system is already a tax. And they're saying, I don't want to pay this. So you have to strengthen as well.
Thank you very much for joining us.
You are most welcome.
Well, that was Mr. Joseph Maweje joining us here from the Economic Policy Research Center.
Well, we'll now take a very short break. When we return, we'll be looking at what's happening in the world of sports. But first, let's have a reminder of our top stories. Kampala Central Chairman Godfrey Nyakana announces he will not contest for the seat again. Muslim row deepens. Supreme Mufti Kayongo stopped from opening a Masaka Health Center. And the United Nations adopts a global program to fight deaths in disasters.
Think you have nothing to sell? Look around your home. You'll find something you don't use anymore that you can sell on OLX.
Simply download the OLX app, take a photo of the item you want to sell, post it on OLX for free, meet the buyer, and tunda! OLX, everything sells.
Some people say, no pain, no gain. I need a school that teaches me how to learn, not just to memorize. I need a school that allows me to grow, not just to be quiet. I need a school that helps me realize big dreams. That's why I need to be at school.
You see, a good school equals to a better life. Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
This is for the magicians, the ones who make sure you and I are fresh and clean all day long. Amidst all challenges, they toil to make us shine. Every single day, they apply their magic to give us more than we've ever dreamt of. Magic that appeals to our senses. Magic so motherly that little angels can't resist. Only they can do this magic. Magic that makes a big job easy and fun. Buy White Star Magic Premium at any shop or supermarket near you and feel the magic of all-day fresh cream.
White Star Magic.
Introducing Yuga Chick Super. Chicken pieces that are individually quick frozen and easier to prepare. Yuga Chick Super has been packaged conveniently for your family. Buy Yuga Chick Super from a supermarket near you.
Think you have nothing to sell? Look around your home. You'll find something you don't use anymore that you can sell on OLX.
Simply download the OLX app, take a photo of the item you want to sell, post it on OLX for free, meet the buyer, and tunda! OLX, everything sells.
Right, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. It's still WBS Weekend Prime News Live. And it's time for us to look at what's happening in the world of sports. Now, U.S. Best Coast soccer coaching instructors have pledged a new curriculum for local coaches come 2016 in a bid to boost capacity for local soccer. Kelly Konheni and Tanzania's Nico Ashimpota made the offer during the climax of the one-week coaches clinic held at Ndeja University in Luwero. We have a report.
While awarding certificates to participants who took part in a one-week coaches course conducted by 3 instructors through the coaches across continents, the Vice-Chancellor Ndeja University, Professor Eria Bulugujo, commended the instructors for helping in building capacity among local coaches. He lauded them for the offer of a new curriculum for the participants, which is geared towards upgrading in the coaching skills as well as helping the youth get close to new technical coaching skills.
It is double-edged, it is reversible, it is both ways. Okay, that is why I like the film. But it has also a connotation of propagation. That whatever you have obtained here, it is not for you. You have to be a multiplier agent.
It has become a norm for the Luwero district-based university to provide chances for untrained and trained coaches to upgrade their coaching career. The 5-day coaching course, which attracted over 100 participants, saw all getting certificates. The organizers, however, say this is just the beginning.
Very good time here. The students were very hospitalized. Actually, we really enjoyed the place here, and we pray that in the next time, come August, we shall be here again.
We have a 3-year curriculum, so we'll be back next year and the following year. Next year, we will be adapting games. This year, we educated, right? We educated you on self-directed learning and sport for social impacts. Okay, next year, we adapt the games that we've learned. So we have a new curriculum, and we adapt the games that we've learned to fit your needs in your community.
The joyful coaches who withstood the scorching sun for 5 days in training could not hide their excitement after receiving the certificates. The coaches, instructors who have traversed over 20 nations believe the nation can only prosper in sports with trained coaches who are handling all ages and at different levels. Uganda's biggest challenge lies in having untrained coaches who live active soccer at an early age and open up soccer academies or handle village teams.
Well, still looking at sports, Garuga Racetrack will be host to several riders on Sunday, including guest riders Jagan Coopers and Olivier Fiazek, as well as Enduro champion from Rwanda, who will compete in the MX Championship against Ugandan star and champion Maxime Van P. Now, Maxime Van P will also take on a usual rival and Motorsport All-Time Champion Award winner Arthur Blick Jr. and hopes to give the fans their money's worth with top competition in the tournament. Event coordinator Unisan Bakunda also looks forward to the event set to take place on a new state-of-the-art track designed by German champion and instructor Jagan Coopers. Maximo took the captain band for the national team from Arthur Blick, is expected to be on top form as he focuses on dominating all the senior races. As well, better excitement is, however, expected to be on the junior races, where younger riders need to amass points for the national riders chart. The Uganda national beach soccer team, Sand Cranes, have left for Ghana, aboard Rwanda Air for their return leg of the Africa Beach Soccer Championship. Haruna Keba's boys will be looking forward to recover from the first leg loss which they suffered at the hands of Ghana when the two countries faced off at Sports Beach Entebbe. The team had a double training session at Sports Beach Entebbe yesterday before their departure today. The match will be played on Sunday at 4 p.m. That will be in Ghana time, and that will be 7 p.m. here in Uganda time. The team consists of players Brian Nkubi, Naturinda Ambrose Sanyu, Somoka Rosh Peter, Muganga Douglas, Teiko Derek, Kasuja Davis, Bugembe Asadu, and Lukoya Baker. Uganda's delegation of officials to Ghana consists of Hamid Juma, who is the leader of delegation, Keba Haruna, the head of coach, Katumba Yahaya, the team doctor, Mwebe Ali, the competitions manager, as well as Mutaba Zideo as the team manager. And now in sports, looking at what's happening elsewhere in the world, Manchester United boss Louis van Gaal has been referring in training to coach and teach his players to control theirs against Liverpool, their aggression against Liverpool. Now, Van Gaal's fourth-placed side faced the team in fifth on the Premier League at Anfield on Sunday. This is the Red Devils intensify their training ahead of the match. Only the Merseyside derby has yielded more red cards in the Premier League era, 20-15, than the United-Liverpool fixture. Control of emotion is also a talent, said Dutchman Van Gaal. United go into the game off the back of a 3-0 home win over Spurs. Liverpool, however, has won their last 5 league games to lie just 2 points behind United and 4 adrift over second-placed Manchester City. In 10 games he has played at Anfield, Wayne Rooney has found the next just once and was a decade ago. We now take a break.
My name is Musa, your travel agent. I'm taking you around Africa, our motherland, a land gifted with beauty that flows right from Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Our first destination will be Rwanda, a land of hills and beautiful ladies. Then Tanzania, the home to the great Kilimanjaro mountain. And Kenya, the Masai Mara home. If I may ask, anyone with more exciting sights?
Movitable jelly and Movitable soap.
That shows her love for quality African-made products. In fact, I move with Movit Herbal Jelly too.
My friends and I at Compass all use Movit Herbal products. As in, I even carried mine.
To have a good service, I first bathe with Movit Herbal soap.
See, I gave the right answer. Even at home we use Movitable gel and Movitable soap. Me too.
Movit. All day confidence.
Well, let's tunda. Think you have nothing to sell? Look around your home. You'll find something you don't use anymore that you can sell on OLX.
Simply download the OLX app, take a photo of the item you want to sell, post it on OLX for free, meet the buyer, and tunda! OLX, everything sells.
News Summary is brought to you by
Everybody use Movit Herbal Jelly. Movit is amazing. Movit Herbal Jelly. Movit is the best. Movit, all the confidence.
Kampala Central Chairman Godfrey Nyakana announces he will not contest for the seat again. Muslim row deepens. Supreme Mufti Kayongo stopped from opening Masaka Health Center. United Nations adopts a global program to fight deaths in disasters. World Forest Day marked with concerns on central forest reserves. Former FDC president says the power is in the people's hands to decide on electoral reforms. And a new curriculum in offering for local soccer coaches.
News Summary is brought to you by
Everybody use Movit Herbal Jelly. Movit is amazing. Movit Herbal Jelly. Movit is the best. Movit, all the confidence.
Well, Thank you very much for being a wonderful audience. We now finally come to the end of tonight's edition of Prime News Live. I am Mildred Tohaise. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to WBS TV. God bless you and good night.
Up next on WBS TV.
Where are you going?
Get your hands off me.
Listen to me, Tony. You are going to tell me this minute what you're doing with that pig.
Oh, you want to know?
I want to right now.
You really want to know? She's my girlfriend. I love her.
Up next on WBS TV.
OLX Tunda. Tunda, Tunda.